often ask ourselves, who am I to be great, to be beautiful, to be handsome, to be gorgeous, to be brilliant, or to be fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and you playing small does not really serve the world. With that said, welcome to the second edition of the Roundtable Talk with myself, Naledi Mara, and I'm not alone. I'm with my three esteemed guests, and allow me to introduce them. On my left, our only lady today is Zodwa Mdingi. She is the pageant director of Miss Capricorn District, and she is also the owner of First Lady Boutique. And next to her is Thapedi Kgole. He is a political activist. And in front of me is Sean Shibiri. He is a certified counselor, and he is also the book author of What is a Mistake, the book that I have in my hand right now. And allow me to introduce the topic today, of which is the rise of entrepreneurship and being an independent thinker. And we today are here to encourage young people that we should not only pursue entrepreneurship, but we should also thrive. So allow me to now start our topic. And I want to start with you, Zodwa. I want you to tell us a little bit about your journey in starting to be an entrepreneur and what made you today and think that Zodwa can actually make it in this field that is so dominated by males.
Okay, thanks so much, Naledi, and hi everyone. Thank you so much for that a very warm welcome, if I can say it like that. For me, if I could think of myself as an entrepreneur, I think it has started way back in high school. I used to sell muffins in school, so I think I was doing my grade 11. That was when there was like entrepreneurship competition at school. And then I was like, okay, I want to enter this competition. And then that's when I started to sell muffins at school. And then I won the competition. Then that's when my entrepreneurship has started ever since then. And then from that, obviously I have been in the pageant industry for so long, if I could remember. And even when I was still in high school, I would still use the same money to buy myself like dresses, to buy myself like, the things that I need, even the entry fee for the pageantry. And then as time goes by, then with the knowledge that I had, as young as I was, even though I was still in high school, there are a lot of people who have been saying to me, you've been entering beauty pageants, why don't you do your own? So the first pageant that I've done, I was in grade 12.
Yeah.
I did Face of Tear. Yes, that's the first pageant that I've done. So even from that, yes, I did not really make money or whatnot, but then you can actually see that being an entrepreneur is something that came from way back. And then from that, then I started to do like other beauty pageants, like your Face of Balimo. I was also part of Miss Mapungube as well.
Yeah.
I was also part of Miss Royal Heritage, which is one of the biggest royal festival that side of Toyando. I was part of a lot. A lot of beauty pageants and also fashion shows as well.
I like the fact that you had support from your family, and I want Sean to fill us in on the idea that what happens if I myself, as a young person, I want to now continue doing entrepreneurship and so on, but I don't get much support from my family, simply because they probably want me to pursue your conventional way of being an adult, like going to work and so on. How do I go around that, and how do I now stay grounded, irrespective of not getting much support from my parents, who are also supporting me financially, and they probably might even deprive you of those privileges because now you don't want to listen to them.
Okay. No, thank you. Nice one. I love this story. But for me, I can actually just put it in this particular context to say it's all about vision. Each and every one of us were different, and then whatever that you dream of is basically what you are equipped with by the creator of the universe. So if something is in you, it says, I will be the president. Even if you don't believe it or you don't see it, but for the fact that I have seen it, that this is what I'm going to become, I'm going to pursue it and I'm going to fulfill it because it's already installed in me. So also with regards to you being a business individual, it's just a matter of you taking the first step. Family sometimes won't support you because they are looking at the issues of financial background, where you come from and so forth. So basically it's time to shift your focus to say, if I go this, what if I get stuck for 10 years or 20 years? But you forget about the long run. We only look at where we are. So if you know that you are a business individual or you're somebody who's like the first lady boutique, I believe at some point she was like, how can I compete with Truworth? How can I compete with Edgar's, Master Price and so forth? But the most important thing is that you need to know that you are unique, and whatever ideas that you come up with, they need to be to actually sell for you. So that's basically how I can put it in that particular context. In a short brief, it's all about vision. What you have inside of you is what is going to take you forward.
Okay, Tapedi, I also want you to now touch on the idea that statistics say, as young people, when you start a business, chances are it's going to fail in the first year. So as an activist in South Africa today, do you think it's achievable? Is it possible to stay grounded as a young business entrepreneur, irrespective of COVID, just the economy and the way we are developing as a country? Is it really possible for me as a young person who's starting something of my own without funding from the government and so on?
Well, yes, I think so. I would like to believe so. It's very possible that you ground yourself. I think the most important thing, like he said, the vision, that's what you ground yourself to. You ground yourself to the passion. Markets go up and down. There's no one who's grounded as an entrepreneur. Yeah. But people are grounded to their visions. People are grounded to faith. People are grounded to hope. So that's the possibility of it. That's where it comes from. When a person is in love with what they do, or just in love with the idea of being an entrepreneur, that's more than enough. I mean, I've been there, done that. I've slept on the street. Parents telling me, no, you have to go apply, go get a job, and this thing of yours, this entrepreneurship thing of yours is not doing well. I mean, I've been coming up with different ideas all year round, but you never really get the support that you want from your family. Why? Because you don't have the same vision. And I think we need to be as open-minded as well and not cry away from our families. Our families will remain our families. Even if they don't trust, they don't believe in us. There are things that we don't believe in them about. So it's easier to always be a victim in things. But I think it's extremely possible to ground yourself. Yeah. It's very possible. You don't need to ground yourself looking at staying in one business for the rest of your life. It's impossible. We grow every day. We're young people. We come up with different ideas each and every day. How are you going to ground yourself to one idea if every day you have a different idea of different ideas that have different other ideas? Yeah. So you get how it is. So maybe that's where the context has to come from. When we teach entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship has become a hoax because people teach entrepreneurship based on money and being in one business for the rest of your life. It's impractical to be grounded to one idea. It's very impractical. Yeah. So yes, it's possible to be grounded to principle, grounded to growth, grounded to business, grounded to entrepreneurship, grounded to different ideas that you have. So yes.
Okay, from what I've heard already, I can now say that indeed we have to make our choices based on our hope more than our fears, because that is one of the ways we can not only be successful but make an impact not in our own lives but to those around us. And whenever you stand up for your dreams, you're really giving another person the courage to do the same. I also want to ask the three of you guys a question. Are entrepreneurs born or are they made? Does anyone have the capability to now be an entrepreneur? Because that's where, in all honesty, the society that we are in today, that is one of the few ways to have wealth, to go into business. So what is your guys' opinion on that?
Ladies first.
So I'm going to be the first one to answer all the questions because ladies first. Oh, wow. Okay, no, it's fine. I'll take this one. I believe that honestly, anyone can become an entrepreneur. Anyone can. I cannot say entrepreneurs are born, because you can't be born and then like this one is an entrepreneur. You understand? So it's something that you can learn, and it's not something that you can just learn in one day. So for me, I think entrepreneurship, it's something that it goes with experience, right? And it's very important as yourself to know what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. So if you can actually use your strengths in order to create a business, that can actually work. And also another thing is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to think in lines of, you look at your surrounding and you start to check that what is that thing that it's needed but it's not there, something that is scarce, right? So that's where the business opportunity is gonna come from, right? So let's say you stay in a rural area where maybe you see that maybe there's like water problems or whatever. So if you think in a way of solving problems, so if you think of solving that water problem somehow, then that can become a business. So entrepreneurs are not born, but it can be learned. That's what I believe.
Am I the second lady? Okay, so I concur. I agree with her when she says you can't necessarily say this person is an entrepreneur and this person is not. It goes back to issues of conditioning. So when we grew up as people, if I grow up in a family that has a business, I'm definitely going to either be interested in business, I'm going to be a shareholder of a different business, I'm going to be an accountant in a certain business, but my conditioning and my ideas around things will be in a way that always, in situations where I'm found to be the problem solver. But here's the confusion. In high school, I did a business. In business, they taught us entrepreneurship, that's ENTR. Then there's entrepreneurship, that's INTR. Right? The difference between the two, the other one starts the business, the other one grows the business. So the other one is business minded, but they don't have the capabilities and the the capabilities of starting a business. So they are not necessarily risk takers, but they are your, I forgot his surname, the guy, please call me Guy. You are in a business, you come up with an idea, the idea makes the company to boom. It's not that you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur, you're within a business, right? And with an entrepreneur, that person starts the business, right? With her instance, she didn't say to an aunt or a friend, start a business. She started it herself. The people who motivated her to sell muffins are entrepreneurs. They are not entrepreneurs. They believe in the business, but they don't have the risk. They don't have the abilities and the courage to start the business. So that's where the difference is. And I think everyone, when we have ideas, we want to start those ideas. I've told myself since the beginning of this year, 2021, I'm not going to start anything new. I'm going to give people new ideas to add on to their ideas. Why? Because I know and understand that, look, I may have an ability to do a pageant, but without Zoram Dengi, I'm nothing. You get it? It's not necessarily about association. It's about knowing your strong points, staying in your lane, knowing that there are people. I like what Shimza, I had Shimza's interview yesterday on Capricorn FM. He said, look guys, I start businesses. I hire passionate people to start, to continue the establishment of those businesses. So that's how it is. It goes back to conditioning. If you know really what it is that you want, if you can be an employee of the Premier's office, you can be an employee of the Polokwane municipality, start your business and have people run those businesses at home. Why? Because you're the entrepreneur. You have the money to fund the businesses. So yeah, so it's necessarily just about conditioning. If you have been growing in a family that is of entrepreneurs, you will be an entrepreneur. You are most likely to be an entrepreneur. not that you will be an entrepreneur. And sometimes we even get pressures from our families to be entrepreneurs because they were entrepreneurs. So I think it just goes back to your visions and your interests and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily about an entrepreneur being made or an entrepreneur being born.
Yes.
Fill us in.
Yeah, I'm also scared. But with regards to what the boss said, by the way, we are not just agreeing for the sake of agreeing.
Yeah.
It's basically with regards that we are sharing the same goal. And so, but with regards to the conditioning, it also goes back to high school. Our educational system. I'm a straightforward person, so I need to say it out loud. It's actually killing us as young as we are. Because you spend your whole lifetime for 13 or 16 years going to school, learning about certain things which you don't gonna apply them in reality. For example, we are taught to be employees rather than for us to actually open businesses, be employers. So that will also condition our mindset with regards to how we perceive the world. Because I go to school just because I want to cram pass and get a job, rather than for me to say, let me implement whatever that I've been taught. For instance, look at white people. I'm not promoting anyone or any race, but I'm being realistic. White people, they do this. If Tapet is having a son, he's going to make sure that if he has a business, he always mentor his child with regards to the business. He moves along with him wherever. He will go to school, come back from school, and then now he's in the business with his father. They go around fixing things and whatsoever. He's doing the practical part of it. So when it becomes easier when now you are supposed to employ that person, because now the person already have experience. Hence, a friend of mine yesterday was saying, I have never seen a white person in a graduation gown. It's only few. And then you ask yourself why? Because most of them, they just go and take certificates just to be certified to say, I have experience in this. Sure. But now when you give them the practical work, they do it thoroughly because they have experience. Now with us, we spend our lifetime busy with internship. Like a post that was busy trending, which stated that a black person, you can tell them that they can make 6.5 in a week, but they rather wait for 3.5 internship than for them to take the 6.5, because our mindset has been conditioned to say you are an employee, you see, not an employer. So that's where the problem really starts. And if we can be able to change the educational system to say, for example, life orientation is there. They're already knowing these things that we are being taught at life orientation. Why not shift it and say include financial education, where you teach us how to implement business-wise and whatsoever, and take out the life orientation? Because for me, personally, I feel like it's useless now. But if we can introduce financial things, then it is easier. That's why some of us, we have a lot of accounts. We run into debts because we're trying to impress the world instead of making sure that we invest the money that we're paying the accounts into something that is going to be profitable to me in the long run.
I feel like we've had a conversation like this for the longest time as young people about how our education system is not for us and so on. But I beg to differ, actually, because it's not really, it's an indirect way in which I feel education has helped me, in the sense that education has helped me understand things like discipline. Now, as an entrepreneur, I understand that I need to work expeditiously, or rather I need to give it extra time for it to work. You know, back in high school, you had to work over hours, you know, to get that good grade and so on. So now I know that, you know what, Naledi, I mean, you must probably work overnight to now come up with ideas on how to advance your business from where it's at now. So those are a few things that I've got from the education system. Things like discipline, things like social skills as well. Those are very important. So our education is not so bad, to an extent that there's nothing so positive about it. So that's just basically what I wanted to say. Do you guys agree?
It's not really that bad. Of course, I feel like we can actually do better, honestly.
Yes.
I mean, it's not really that bad,
but since
we can do better.
We've
honestly,
had this conversation for so long, though. Why can't we now make something of our own in a way.
We need practical to do things practically rather than just theory.
Yeah.
You know, in as much as they teach business in high school, you just read it on a paper, you cram and you write a test, you pass and you forget. But then it needs to get more practical. I think if we could get more practical facilities, then that will work. Then we're actually really doing the job rather than just cramming the theory, then that's it.
And just to add on what you're saying, for example, with regards to practicality, even if we don't have facilities, because we know how they will take forever, but for instance, she was selling muffins. Let me just use that story. Yeah. You are a business educator in class. Why not then say, this week, Tapedi will be selling sweets. Then from the sweets, with regards to VAT tax, you're going to do all these things that you're doing. Then at the end of the week, we're going to tax whatever total amount that he has actually accumulated for that particular week. So we teach you basically on how does tax work. And after that, how do you now save in order for you to purchase new order and then have your own profit? Like, be more practical instead of saying, there's a tax, there's profit, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Show me the practicality of it. So when I get out of the high school, even if I don't get the opportunity to be at university, I can still do something about my life. Because that's where the challenge now comes in. You know, whenever students, learners pass high school, all of them, they always think, in order for me to proceed smart, I need to be at varsity. I need to be at college. They forget that it's not about that. It's all about what can you do after that, you see. So that's why I'm also saying to say our educational system has channeled our mind to be narrowed. To say, in order for you to be successful, you need to go this road. White people, like I said, they go to school because they want to learn what you were saying. Social skills, writing, reading, in order for them to read the contract. After that, they say, let me continue my father's business. They grow, and they become successful.
And one thing maybe that we need to also remember is that you can't just start any business anywhere. Rules and regulations govern us. And that's why it's not easy for us to come up, like you said, with things of our own. Sometimes you start and they say, where's the license to run that business? Sometimes you run it and you find the license costs about 10,000 rand just for a license, not for you to practice, just for you to have a license. And so there's just exorbitant amounts of money and rules as well that stop us from doing these things. A lot of times when we want to say that we come up with solutions as young people, we're unable to do so. Why? Because first of all, it's not just rules and regulations that are written by the government. Your parents as well create rules and regulations for you. The society creates rules and regulations for you. If I were to start a pageant myself and say only for the LGBTQI community, the society will label me in a certain way. So there are rules and regulations, unwritten rules and regulations that force us not to do the things that would most likely help us out. So that's basically it. Rules and regulations govern anything, and that's why it's important for people to be even politically invested, because entrepreneurship itself relies on politics, but politics relies then also on entrepreneurship. So it's a two-way street. You help, you get helped. And unfortunately, we've given politics so much power that we want to separate politics and day-to-day living of people, even businesses. There's politics in businesses as well. There's politics everywhere you go. It's just a matter of coming up with decisions and writing rules, and not even just writing rules, but coming up with rules that will ensure the advancement of your own people. So if we don't have such people in leadership positions, and that's why we need young people in leadership positions. Every day you come up with an idea. If you make a mistake in making a decision, you know you're going to rectify it. You're going to say, yes, I did wrong, let me rectify it. Not these people who then later on come up with commissions, we go through all the mistakes. It's not necessary. We need to move forward.
True.
And if we as ourselves as young people are not invested in making decisions, we will always run for the internships.
Yes,
we
true.
will always run to the streets, sell muffins, and be okay with selling muffins and not opening our muffin factories.
Yeah, true.
You get where it's coming from. So education itself teaches us a lot of things. There's a lot of things that we learn from education. But unfortunately, right now we've been told education is just there to make you an employee of a certain business, like he said, or an employee of a certain department. That's how it is. And the conditioning itself is what we should question, not education.
Yes.
Okay, guys, Galikwa, when you guys are saying you can be an entrepreneur, we can thrive, but how do you start? What are the basic things that are necessary, like personally, not necessarily like business-wise and so on? Personally, as a person, what are those little, significant attributes you should have? And another thing is, do I need to get a job to get funding? How can I get funding from the government? Is it possible even? Because I personally tried it and I didn't succeed at getting funding from the government for other reasons. But yeah, I want your input on that.
I think all of us here have that story.
I think we all do, yeah.
I think with government funding is tricky, and that's what we were addressing earlier, that there's a license everywhere. You go left, right, center. They're saying they want to fund you, but you have to get a license first. You check, you find the license is 15,000. How am I going to get that license if I came to you requesting for funding? So there's just impractical things that are around the advancement of the people of South Africa, people of Africa generally. But rules and regulations every day are created to stop us. They're saying they want to ensure that, hey, everyone is doing well, there are no illegalities, but perfection doesn't work amongst people who are imperfect. That's why we need, and I'll keep on saying, we need young people in leadership positions, because young people understand the flexibility of life. Today I may say I'm a friend of Zoram Ding. Tomorrow I may not be a friend, and we are okay with that. You understand? So in most cases we don't need these unnecessary restrictions, and because most of the time it's those rules and regulations that crush ideas. People had ideas that would break through South Africa, break through Limpopo, break through Polokwane, or even just do well in their small villages or the city or in their respective settings and places. But because of a certain rule, people are unable to get into such a business. So it's really tricky to get funding. It's disheartening. The funding industry is disheartening. We're moving from funding people from a certain political party or certain political parties to going out and calling your little sister to just register a business so you get the money out of the funding agency. It's just sick. It's sickening. It's disheartening as well. I forgot your first question. I answered the second question.
I feel like Sean would continue from there. Yeah. Do I work to get funding? Can I work, like go into the workplace, get funding, develop my vision for my business in that period? Or does now working make me to be burnt out now? I'm not so much passionate about now being an entrepreneur anymore because I'm getting a salary. What happens then?
I will move from him and go to you.
Okay.
My answer would be, as a black child, start with what you have. Because, like you said, with you trying to get funds, one thing that I've realized or I've learned in the short space of lifespan that I've lived is that no one wants to contribute or give funds to a business that they have no idea that it's going to stand its ground in the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah. So if you start with what you have, it also shows the kind of person you are with regards to what you believe in. Goes back to the vision part. So if I'm having a 3,000, I can start my business by selling acha. You get a lot of that cocoa tzani, 1,000 rand. It can give you a profit of 5 or 6,000. Then you choose the remaining 2,000 to gather spice and whatsoever. Yeah. That is just the beginning. The idea, you know where is it that you want to be, but it's a capital that is going to start you to reach your beauty pageant whatsoever. So the idea is for you to start with what you have in order to move forward. So when you come to Mr. Tapedi and you say, I want you to invest in my business, then the first question that they ask, what have you done? Yeah. Then you have something to say, I've started here, but the idea is not to stop at selling acha, is to reach that destination. Then just because of we have the ability to start, then I say, okay, let me look in the long run. Can I venture with this business. And then now it also goes back to what Dr. Miles Monroe has said. He said the richest place in this earth is actually the graveyard. Because a lot of ideas, a lot of cure for HIV, for cancer, whatsoever, the books, music that were never written, they're at the graveyard. The reason is because somebody could not be able to see the vision. They had an idea, but they were anticipating, like, being reluctant to say, can I start? Who's going to fund me? So that's why I'm saying you need to start with what you have. I always use Zoda with her muffins. So look at Zoda. Everything started with muffins. Today she's owning her own boutique. But if somebody sees her today and say, how did you do it? The person will look at how beautiful she is, what the kind of things that she's having now. You forget about where she comes from. That's why I always say to me, myself personally, even my mentor, Moffat Sibola, he knows, I also told him this, to say, I am not interested on what you have. I'm interested in the process of accumulating what you have. So the problem with us is that we want to see the product, forgetting about the process to receive the product.
I like the fact that you mentioned having a mentor. Is it necessary to have a mentor to make it? What happens if I don't have a mentor and I'm working on something and I literally can't find a mentor because probably them being in the same industry as me, they're already my competitor.
Okay. So with regards to mentorship, a mentor does not necessarily need to be somebody within the same industry that you're at. A mentor is somebody who picks you up when you're at your downest moment. Somebody who can be able to say, you remember you told me that your vision is this. So if this is what your vision is, so remember where you come from. How did you get here? So in order for us to move here to get there, we need this. He's a political activist. He's having people that he looks up to. Whenever he's having an idea that he thinks maybe the society might not comprehend it, he goes back to his political activist mentor or whatsoever and say, Chief, I was thinking about this, and then they'll give their input. Sometimes they will agree, sometimes they'll disagree, but at the end of the day, you've got somebody that you can debrief with, somebody who can enlighten you and encourage you.
Yeah.